Welcome to Varsity Nutrition. I'm Derek Marks, and in this episode, we're going to talk about your during training nutrition technique. The goals for your during training nutritional habits are really focused on two things. Do your best to maintain energy availability. This will help maximize your training performance and limit or prevent the depletion of carbohydrates, which is very much related to decreasing for performance or the onset of fatigue. Secondly, your habits can also lead to being able to maintain focus deeper into a training session, which of course transfers into competitions. For so many sports, your ability to stay focused, which includes things like reaction time and paying attention to the nature of a play, being able to execute certain skills, that is a thing that has to do with focus. And your during training nutritional habits can very much affect that. So the objectives for today's talk, we're going to talk about what to drink and why. We're going to talk about when to drink, so a little timeline in terms of optimum timing for things, and then really get into some applications for best strategies for you to develop a routine. So the what and the why. Firstly, you want to focus on liquid forms of energy during exercise. Why? Well, when you exercise, especially at a higher intensity, energy going to your digestive system, your digestive tract, really slows down, if not stops. The higher the intensity, the harder it is for you to digest and absorb food. So liquid, as you've probably experienced through trial and error, liquids don't give you that much of a problem. You can drink plenty of fluids and not really get too much gastric upset. They will leave your stomach, make it into the intestines, make it into your body. So liquid forms of energy are really ideal. Most sports drinks out there will provide you with energy in the form of carbohydrates, and that's what you want. Most sports drinks are adequate. We'll look at a graphic in the next slide that compares different sports drinks to really see what's out there. But generally speaking, yeah, all those multicolored, fruity, tasty kind of things, they do the job. There's some science behind most of them, and they're mostly adequate. The composition of those drinks is primarily carbohydrates and electrolytes. Generally speaking, for most of you watching this, you don't train long enough or in extreme enough conditions to where electrolytes are even that essential, but that's okay. Keep those electrolytes in those sports drinks, drink them. Some of you would benefit with sports drinks with some amino acids in them, and those are really for more of the really long sessions. Some of you more ultra distance, long distance types of athletes, sure. Go for some of those amino acid containing sports drinks or add a little bit of the branch chain amino acids to your sports drink yourself, and that can benefit you, but really is not essential for most mixed sports at all. Avoid any drinks with fat and oils in them, which generally is me saying, please don't drink chocolate milk or other drinks like that while you're training. For some of you, you can do okay with it, but generally keep that for post-training. For extended sessions, so when you start going 2+ hours and you're starting to get a little bit hungry, you can start to add in a little bit of food. And so you need to be really mindful of the food. And when you have sessions going 2-3+ hours, hopefully it's not super high intensity the whole time. And so if intensity should be low enough in those longer sessions for you to tolerate food. One of my favorites is a banana. Bananas are so easy to digest, doesn't mess with most people's guts. It gives you some carbohydrates. Awesome, right? There are specially designed foods now for when you exercise. Your gels and your goos and even your shot blocks and gummies, those are really easy to get out of your stomach, into your intestines, into your body. Be prepared for longer sessions and utilize that. For shorter sessions, less than 2 hours, unless you're getting really hungry for some reason, liquids should be able to do the trick. Here's a timeline brought to us by the amazing scientists at mysportscience.com. Love all their work. So if you look at this timeline, it's a pretty busy graphic. Across the top is just a suggestion of the type of carbohydrates that you're going to consume. And so these single or multiple transportable carbohydrates, don't worry about that. It's your sports drinks. That colorful bar in the middle there, that colorful row is really what we're going to talk about. And if you look at the timeline at the bottom here, this dotted line kind of gives you the actual time. So this is, onset of exercise, 30 minutes in down here, 60 minutes, 75 minutes, etc. They recommend, if your session is 60 minutes or less, small amounts of a carbohydrate drink or even a mouth rinse. One thing that's amazing about our body and our brain is that you can trick the brain into thinking that it's getting carbohydrates by just rinsing your mouth with a carbohydrate drink. Let's say, choose your favorite one. Rinse it around your mouth, spit it out. Your brain thinks it's getting energy and will actually allow you to train harder. There's actual research out there that's looked at that. I don't recommend you rinse it and spit it. I just drink it. Drink the carbohydrates, get the carbohydrates in your body. Your muscles will thank you. Per their suggestions, yes, after 60 minutes up to this 2-hour range, you want to aim for about 30 grams of carbohydrates an hour. And we'll take a look at the sports drinks on the next slide to see what that looks like. But generally, most of your sports drink bottles are right around that zone, usually 20 to 30 grams in a sports drink. So, those scientists that make the sports drinks, they kind of know, drink one of those an hour. And that's kind of the goal, right? So for most of you, in this sort of oval is your training range, right? And so if you're going 2 hours, you're maybe going to be aiming for 2 bottles of the sports drink. And that's the maximum. Like, that's not like, minimum. That's the maximum. So could you get away with 1 sports drink over a 2-hour session? Yes. The goal here is to minimize fatigue and maintain focus. And so it's really up to you as the athlete utilizing this practice to think about how you feel during a session. And you think, hey, I had one sports drink bottle during this session. I felt like I had plenty of energy from start to finish. I maintained focus from start to finish. 1 is enough. You can tolerate, or at least when you want to maximize it, you should be able to tolerate 2 bottles over that 2-hour session, 1 bottle an hour. And that might be beneficial. It's something that I always have athletes do is experiment. See what works best for you. If you've never tried it, you're not going to know. For those of you athletes going to the 2 to 3 hour range, you can even up the carbohydrate intake per hour. And so recommendations here are really aimed to prevent carbohydrate depletion, because once you start getting significantly over 2 hours for a training session, you're at risk for completely running out of carbohydrates, hitting the wall, or bonking, whatever you want to call it. That's a dangerous situation for performance especially. So you want to make sure and maximize carbohydrate intake, so consume more. And sometimes that involves adding food to those sessions to help maximize carbohydrate getting into your body, or sometimes it just means drinking more of that sports drink. Quick snapshot of some popular sports drinks. There's so many out there. It wouldn't fit on 50 slides if I put them here. But I kind of circled some of them with the properties that I look for in sports drink, because I have athletes ask me a lot, like, what's the best sports drink? I'm like, I want a sports drink that has in the neighborhood of about 20 to 30 grams of carbohydrates in a bottle. And so I'm looking at a bottle or a serving of all these. 22, 26, 25. So those on this slide that are circled, they have about the right amount of carbohydrates for you to go for 1 drink per hour and be in a pretty good zone. The other thing that's circled here, which we won't get into much, is the osmolality. And that's kind of what I call the mud factor. How many particles are in solution? If the osmolality of a solution gets too much above 300, the solution gets kind of thick, and it can cause issues with leaving your stomach, and it can actually cause issues with digestion in general. So you don't want them to be too high over 300. So you'll notice the ones that I've circled are in the pretty close to 300 and below zone. So, but generally speaking, as I said at the onset, pretty much all these on this slide will work. It's up to you to decide, or at least experiment, to see what works best for you. So some applications here to take with you. Firstly, and I didn't emphasize this enough earlier, always be prepared. It's up to you to prepare yourself. I am constantly blown away in the college atmosphere at how few athletes bring a carbohydrate drink to practice with them, or bring food with them, or how few teams with their coaches, their trainers, supply their athletes with carbohydrates. It is something that is ignored quite often. And so take responsibility for yourself and bring it yourself. If your coaches and trainers aren't providing it for you, do it on your own. It will help you. So be responsible. You are the one who controls this. So bring something to every session. Experiment to see what works for you. For your 1 to 2 hour sessions, that 30 grams of carbohydrates per hour, so 1 sports drink per hour, is usually adequate. And then for longer sessions, or for those of you that play sports where you have times to have a little snack, like I have my soccer players always, they love the gummies, or, I know tennis players that I have here, they like the gels in between matches or in between sets. Whatever works for you when you have a timeout or a changeover, have a little snack if you can tolerate it, especially if you're not getting enough liquid energy into your body. That's it. Thank you.